So why SASE? Just briefly, and I've done the very short version of this, you'd be happy to know. Look, a lot of customers are still, or a lot of companies are still sitting with this old, I guess, castle and moat type approach to security, which I shouldn't need to convince anyone. But more practically, what's happening is if users are in the office, they're probably reasonably secure. But when users are at home, a lot of them aren't even VPNing in, which really means it's your antivirus versus the internet, which just isn't good enough today. The second thing, which is, I guess, when you're looking to mature your environment, the vast majority of companies aren't decrypting traffic, which means you're basically missing 80 to 90% of what's going on in your network. So a bit of a cheeky cartoon, but probably gives you a very good idea that, most things are just walking straight through all your existing controls. The third area is obviously zero trust, which unfortunately, I think is getting up there with cloud in terms of overuse in the market. But it is a very important principle to put in place. So what we want to be doing is that no matter where users are, absolutely everything they do is inspected before it goes anywhere near your data. And that's really the simple version of zero trust. And then the fourth bit is, again, just looking at building, I guess, capability is data protection. So, how mature is that in your business? Can you actually stop PII or whatever it is that's important to you leaving your environment? Or would you even be aware if you are? So those kind of challenges together, we need to secure the end user, we need to implement zero trust, we need to look at all the traffic, and then we need to make sure we've got the controls in place to manage your data. So the way we tackle this with our customers is in a four-part conversation. So network connectivity is obviously still important. If you can't get on the internet, you can't do anything. The next bit is then SD-WAN, which is, I guess, more taking care of your offices. The third part of it is security as a service. So effectively taking all the capability of your firewall and all the other tools, but delivering it as a single platform in the cloud. And then the fourth and probably most important bit is actually the application or the experience management for end users. Because we can do all the connectivity and security, but if the end users aren't happy, then that's ultimately what we're judged on. So the first building block is connectivity. So what we would do, and Paul touched on, is, our model is a VNO model. So we can use any carrier in the market to basically look at each of your offices individually and then make the choice based on technology and price as to what's most appropriate. But what I just wanted to touch on today is, I guess, it's quite a significant change in the industry. Again, I'm sure you've all had a huge amount of exposure to NBN. You've probably got it at home. But an interesting announcement, or I guess progression, came out in the last few months. The NBN have been given another large grant from the government that is going to basically enable them to build out their fiber footprint to 70% of the homes and businesses in Australia, which is great news for all of us. The kids will be able to stream Netflix and play Xbox quicker, more consistently. But more importantly, from our point of view, and I guess yours, this is really changing the way we look at our customers' networks. And I guess two things is that, your traditional cheaper telecom services, going back to ADSL, they really would only work for kind of 3 or 5 users, maybe a few more. Whereas where we're getting to now on NBN, you can have a gig down and I can't remember the exact plan, plenty up, but still on effectively a product that is priced nearer the consumer price point. The other important change that's happened is on those, I guess, they are business products, but I'd say commercially they're leaning that way. They actually have a 4-hour SLA as well, because that's where we've gone with our customers. It's kind of been, are you happy not to have an SLA at your smaller sites? Or do you want to spend more on, I guess, enterprise grade telco? So those lines are now fully blurred. So this is quite an exciting change. But where we're seeing this play out is that this should allow you just to take bandwidth off the table. Give your users as much bandwidth as they need at all the sites. That shouldn't be a conversation. But also what will hopefully help you do is actually free up some of your budget that you can then spend on cyber, because unfortunately cyber is not cheap, but if you can massage your budget, then that really helps. So we can maybe touch on that. We've got a few of our colleagues from NBN on the call if there's any deeper questions later in the session. The second part, and I won't go into this today, I'm sure you've all heard plenty about SD-WAN, is really just putting the network connectivity in place. The one thing I'll just call out is this is fully integrated with the security platform. So it's not that you've got 2 separate vendors, which is really, really important. The third piece is obviously the security as a service. So what we're doing there is no matter where user works from. So I might be at home, I just open the lid on my laptop, I do one login and I'm securely connected. If I'm in the office, it's exactly the same if I'm in a hotel. So your user always connected to this platform, so there's no way around it. And then what we're doing is we're looking at who the user is, who the device is, what app they're trying to access, and then overlaying all of the security controls. But what this looks like at a more practical level is, we're going to first validate the user is who they say they are. We're then going to look at their device. Does it have the right certificates on it, antivirus, patch levels? We're then going to enforce access controls. So is the user allowed to access whatever the application or data might be? And then fourthly, we're actually going to scan all of the content going backwards and forwards from that user. And only if all of those are green will we allow them access. And if at any point one of those, while they're connected, change, we'll disconnect them automatically. So you've got very tight controls around your environment. The fourth pillar is digital experience management. And this is, I guess, I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s of help desk life, and it was very difficult. I mean, and I don't think we've progressed that far. Your option was reboot your laptop, maybe reboot your modem, and there wasn't a lot else you could do. Where we've got to today is that we can see absolutely every single element of the user's experience. So from the actual laptop, the CPU, the memory, their home Wi-Fi, is the signal strong, their home broadband, all the way through to the actual application that they're using. So this really gives your support desk or your managed service provider, whoever's supporting your environment, the information to really help users resolve problems. Just so that I won't do too many screenshots, but this is the snapshot that you basically get of your environment so that you can see if there are any issues. These bubbles would go orange, and then you can just click into it and see exactly what the particular issue is. The same across your applications, that at any time you can pull the snapshot up and it'll show you from your user's perspective how your applications are performing.